Today's topic is transport of oxygen in blood.
So the blood is transported from the right heart to the lungs, from the lungs to the left heart, and from the left heart to the rest of the body. The right heart carries the deoxygenated blood. In deoxygenated blood, there is more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. In oxygenated blood, the blood contains more oxygen and less carbon dioxide. The right ventricle of the heart carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. From the pulmonary artery, the deoxygenated blood is carried to the pulmonary capillary of the lungs. From the pulmonary capillaries, the deoxygenated blood is oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood is carried to the left ventricle of the heart through the pulmonary vein. From the left ventricle of the heart, the oxygenated blood is transported through the arteries, and from the artery to the arterioles, and from the arterioles to the capillaries of the muscle tissue. Okay, so when I say oxygenated means the blood has more oxygen. In the capillary of the muscle tissue, the oxygen gets delivered in the tissue, and the carbon dioxide is picked up by the blood in the muscle tissue capillaries. So now the blood has more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. So now it is deoxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood from the capillaries then goes to venules, then to veins. This vein join the major venous system. Arterial system is the oxygenated blood carried by the artery. Venous system is the deoxygenated blood carried by the veins. In between right heart and left heart, the circulation is known as pulmonary circulation. The lungs has two types of circulation. One is pulmonary circulation and another one is bronchial circulation. The deoxygenated blood from the right heart goes to the lungs. Let me tell you again, the deoxygenated blood from the right heart goes to the lungs for oxygenated. Here, not all the quantity of deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs. Some small quantity goes to the bronchial circulation. What happens in bronchial circulation is small quantity of the deoxygenated blood goes to the deep structures of the lungs to deliver the blood. So this supply is known as shunt flow. So let me explain with a heart diagram. So from the venous system, the deoxygenated blood is carried to the right heart through the vein. First to the right atrium of the heart. In the right atrium, the deoxygenated blood is pushed to the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is transported to the lungs through the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery, the blood is transported to the capillaries of the lungs. I mean pulmonary capillaries of the lungs, where the deoxygenated blood is oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood is transported from the pulmonary capillaries through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium of the heart. First, in the left atrium, the oxygenated blood is pushed to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle the oxygenated blood is transported to the rest of the body through this aorta. I hope now it is clear. So let us have this illustration. Here you see the venous system, and deoxygenated blood is pumped into the right atrium and to the right ventricle, and from right ventricle through the pulmonary artery to the pulmonary capillaries in the alveoli, where the blood is oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood is transported from the pulmonary capillaries in the alveoli through the pulmonary vein to the right atrium of the heart, from the right atrium of the heart to the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle to the rest of the body through the aorta, through the artery, then to the tissues. So from the arteries the blood is transported through arterioles, then the tissue capillaries, then venules, then vein. This is how it works. So when I say alveola, where do you see this alveoli? Alveoli are tiny small sac-like structures you see in the terminal bronchiole of the lungs. So these blood vessels are basically attached on the surface of the alveoli to make the transport of gases easier. You see the pulmonary artery here and pulmonary vein here, and the blood vessels are attached basically on the surface of the alveoli. So now we will see how the gases get transported. In the alveolar sac, the oxygen is transported into the blood, and through blood the oxygen is delivered to the tissues in the muscle. Once the oxygen gets delivered, the carbon dioxide is picked up by the blood and it goes back again to the lungs. This is how it works. For the transport of respiratory gases, a protein plays an important role. That protein is hemoglobin. So let us discuss about hemoglobin. This structure here, this is a pyrrole ring. 4 such structures combine together to form a protoporphyrin. So now where do you see this protoporphyrin? You see this protoporphyrin in the erythroblast. Where do you see this erythroblast? Erythroblasts are seen in the bone marrow. Erythroblast basically produces RBCs. So this erythroblast, you see erythroblast as a nucleus, and here you see the protoporphyrin. So let us have a simpler structure of this protoporphyrin in a flower shape here. When you add iron in the center of this protoporphyrin, that is Fe2+, it becomes heme. That is heme part of hemoglobin. If you do not add iron, in the center of protoporphyrin, it remains as protoporphyrin. So now the nucleus in the erythroblast also synthesizes some peptide chains. This peptide chain is made of amino acids, and this whole structure is known as globin. That is globin, part of hemoglobin. So Now do not call this whole structure as hemoglobin. This is called as hemoglobin monomer because a hemoglobin is a tetramer. What do you mean by a tetramer? 4 such structures form one hemoglobin. 4 such structures form one hemoglobin. I hope you understand. So we will see the types of hemoglobin. In the nucleus of the erythroblast, there are genes that synthesizes this globin part, and some genes synthesizes alpha globin chain, beta globin chain, gamma globin chain, and delta globin chain. So in one hemoglobin when you have 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain, you call that as adult hemoglobin, that is HbA.
If there are 2 alpha chain and 2 delta chain, then it is known as hemoglobin A2, adult hemoglobin 2. And if there are 2 alpha chain and 2 gamma chain, it is known as fetal hemoglobin, that is HbF. You can see this fetal hemoglobin in the fetus.
In the hemoglobin, the iron in the center stays in ferrous state. It stays in ferrous state because it can bind oxygen easily. So the iron, it will never stay in the ferric state. If it stays in the ferric state, it cannot bind oxygen. But there are exceptions. Not all hemoglobins, the iron stays in ferrous state. There are some hemoglobins where the iron stays in ferric state, and that hemoglobin is known as methemoglobin, and this methemoglobin cannot bind oxygen. Now where you can see this hemoglobin molecule. These hemoglobin molecules are present inside the red blood cells, that is RBCs. And in hemoglobin there are 4 pockets, 1 pocket, 2 pockets, 3 pockets, and 4 pockets. And in each pocket there is iron in the center in ferrous state, and each pocket binds to 1 molecule of oxygen. So one hemoglobin has 4 molecules of oxygen. Let me draw a simpler diagram here.
So 1 pocket of hemoglobin, 2 pocket of hemoglobin, 3 pocket, 4 pockets. In this diagram, this part is the heme part, and this part is the iron in the ferrous state. Let us go back to the transport of respiratory gases. So oxygen in the alveolar sac in the lungs is transported to the blood. Here, how is this oxygen from the lungs is transported into the blood? For example, when you push someone, you should exert some pressure so that the other person will move forward. The same goes for the oxygen. There is a pressure in the lungs which transport the oxygen molecule. This pressure is known as the partial pressure. With the help of partial pressure, the oxygen molecule is transported from the alveoli into the blood. Now, what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs? It is 104 millimeter of mercury. So if I ask you what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs after 2 to 3 months, you might forget. So in order not to forget, just round up this value, just assume it is 100. So whenever I ask you the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs, just say 100. That's enough. So now, what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the deoxygenated blood? We know the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs is 100 millimeter of mercury, to easily remember. So we will see this part here. So when I say the oxygen molecule is transported from the alveoli into the blood, it means the oxygen molecule is transported through the pulmonary capillary, then to the blood plasma, and from the blood plasma it is transported to the RBC and then to the hemoglobin molecule. So the partial pressure of oxygen in the deoxygenated blood is 40 millimeter of mercury. Always know that in deoxygenated blood, oxygen molecules are very low and high carbon dioxide molecules are present. So in a hemoglobin molecule there are 4 pockets. So in a deoxygenated blood, in a hemoglobin molecule, 3 pockets are already filled, and the deoxygenated blood with this hemoglobin comes to the alveoli to fill the remaining 1 pocket, that is the 4th pocket. So in a hemoglobin molecule, what do you mean by a saturation? Saturation means simply satisfaction. In a hemoglobin molecule, when the first pocket is filled by an oxygen molecule, the saturation of the hemoglobin is 25%. So when the second pocket is filled, the saturation is 50. When the third pocket is filled, the saturation is 75. When the fourth pocket is filled, the saturation is 100. I just added this 25 plus 25, 50, 25, 75 plus 25, 100. So what is the hemoglobin saturation of a deoxygenated blood? As we discussed earlier, 3 oxygen molecules are carried by a hemoglobin molecule in deoxygenated blood. It comes to the alveoli to fill the remaining 1 pocket. So the hemoglobin saturation is already 3 oxygen molecules are there, it is 75%. So the partial pressure determines the saturation of hemoglobin. What does this sentence mean? Whenever you increase the partial pressure of oxygen from outside, it will push the oxygen molecules inside the RBC so that the remaining pocket gets filled. So the partial pressure determines the saturation of hemoglobin. So when you increase the partial pressure, the remaining pocket is filled and the hemoglobin saturation is 100%. Where do you see this? Plasma. Plasma is present in the blood. So I'll show you a diagram. This is a blood vessel and you have blood. In the blood, when you separate RBCs, platelets and WBC, you will have a colorless yellowish fluid, that is plasma. This plasma is made of 90% water and 55% blood, and oxygen molecules are dissolved in this fluid of plasma. Let us go back to our discussion. So we know the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs and the partial pressure of oxygen in the deoxygenated blood. Now what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the oxygenated blood? The partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs is 104 millimeter of mercury. So the partial pressure of oxygen in the oxygenated blood is 100 millimeter of mercury. So whenever I ask you what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs, just say 100. What is the partial pressure of oxygen in the oxygenated blood? Say the same, 100 millimeter of mercury. So in this way you will never forget this partial pressure of oxygen. So we have seen the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs, deoxygenated blood and in the oxygenated blood. So what is the amount of oxygen in 100 ml of blood? If you take 100 ml of blood, what is the amount of oxygen, that is the content of oxygen in 100 ml of blood? So in order to know the value of the amount of oxygen in 100 ml of blood, we will take a vessel. In a vessel or in a flask, we will fill the flask with 100 ml of blood. So in a flask we have 100 ml of blood, and here we have air. This air is oxygen molecules. So using a piston, you push the piston downward. In a way you are pushing the oxygen molecules into the blood. So when you push the piston, you are giving a pressure of 100 millimeters of mercury. So what happens is, when you give a pressure at 100 millimeters of mercury, the oxygen molecules in the air gets binded to the hemoglobin pockets. So 1 gram of hemoglobin binds 1.34 milliliter of oxygen. You should know this one. This is from an experiment. So normally a human body has 15 grams of hemoglobin per 100 milliliter of blood. So what is the total amount of oxygen molecule in 100 ml of blood? 15 gram of hemoglobin in 100 ml of blood. 1 gram of hemoglobin binds 1.34 ml, then 15 grams binds 1.34 multiplied by 15, 20.1 milliliter of oxygen. So 15 grams of hemoglobin in 100 ml of blood binds 20.1 milliliter of oxygen. So we have discussed earlier that oxygen is transported from the alveoli of the lungs and is transported through the pulmonary capillaries to the blood. So assume you have 100 ml of blood here. So oxygen is transported from the alveoli through the pulmonary capillaries to the blood. In the blood you have blood plasma. From the blood plasma the oxygen is transported to the RBCs and hemoglobin. In 100 ml of blood, 15 grams of hemoglobin binds 20.1 ml of oxygen. So what is the amount of oxygen molecules in the dissolved state in blood plasma? It is 0.003 ml of oxygen. So now where did I get this value? And you may ask, where did I get this value? These values are from the experiments that are done before. Actually 1 gram of hemoglobin binds 1.39 ml of oxygen. As we discussed earlier, hemoglobin is always not pure. In hemoglobin, if the iron in the heme part is in ferrous state, it is hemoglobin. If the iron is in ferric state, then it is methemoglobin. So hemoglobin is always not pure. Because of this, 1 gram of hemoglobin binds only 1.34 and not 1.39 ml. So now, in a vessel with a piston, we applied a pressure at 100 mm of Hg. Okay, 100 millimeter of mercury. So now we should know the amount of oxygen dissolved in blood plasma with the pressure is how much? It is 0.3 ml. Now what is the total oxygen content in 100 ml of blood? In 100 ml of blood, we have oxygen in dissolved state and we have oxygen in the hemoglobin molecule. So hemoglobin molecule binds 20.1 ml of oxygen and in dissolved state it is 0.3 ml. So the total is 20.4 ml. So 20.4 ml of oxygen molecule is in 100 ml of blood. So we can say oxygenated blood, in oxygenated blood, that is in the arterial blood carried by the arteries. 97% of oxygen molecules are transported with hemoglobin and the remaining 2 to 3% are transported in dissolved form. So now here we know this bronchial circulation. We have discussed this earlier. Bronchial circulation, when the deoxygenated blood from the right side of the heart, it goes to the lungs for oxygenation, but the deoxygenated blood from the right side of the heart, some content of blood, that is very small amount of blood that goes into the lungs to deliver blood to the deep structures of the lungs. This small content of blood, it will never get oxygenated and it drains back into the pulmonary vein. So in the pulmonary vein we have only what kind of blood? Oxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood from the bronchial circulation also mixes with this oxygenated blood. This mixture is known as venous admixture of blood. So as you know already, the partial pressure of oxygen in oxygenated blood is 100 millimeter of mercury and the hemoglobin saturation is 100%. Due to this venous admixture of blood, that is due to the mixture of the deoxygenated blood from the bronchial circulation with the oxygenated blood in the pulmonary vein, the partial pressure of the oxygen drops to 95 millimeter of mercury. Due to the drop in the pressure of the oxygen, the hemoglobin saturation also dropped to 97%. So the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs is 104 millimeter of mercury. The partial pressure of oxygen in the deoxygenated blood is 40 millimeter of mercury. The partial pressure of oxygen in the oxygenated blood is how much? 100 millimeter of mercury. So what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the plasma of the blood? It is 1 millimeter of mercury. So now we know that the partial pressure of oxygen in the oxygenated blood carried by the artery is how much? 100, and the hemoglobin saturation is 100. The amount of oxygen content in 100 ml of blood is 20.4. So due to this venous admixture, the partial pressure of oxygen is 95 and hemoglobin saturation is 97%, and the amount of oxygen content in the blood is 20.4. So this oxygenated blood from the artery, it enters the arterioles and then into the capillaries of the muscle tissue. So when the oxygenated blood enters the muscle tissue, always know that I forgot to discuss this one. In partial pressure means it is the diffusion of gases from higher gradient to lower gradient. Just know that in the lungs we have a partial pressure of 104, and in the oxygenated blood we have partial pressure of 100. In the deoxygenated blood we have partial pressure of oxygen is 40. So deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs. So the partial pressure is the diffusion of molecules from higher gradient to lower gradient. So from 104 to 40, the oxygen molecules are transferred in the deoxygenated blood and the blood get oxygenated. Likewise, in the oxygenated blood, the partial pressure of oxygen is 95 mm of mercury. In the interstitial space, that is, this is a tissue of the muscle and this is capillary. The space between the capillary and the tissue is interstitial space, where you have interstitial fluid. So the partial pressure should be low than the partial pressure of the oxygenated blood, because partial pressure, the diffusion occurs from higher gradient to lower gradient. If the tissue need oxygen, then the partial pressure of the interstitial fluid should be low, so that the oxygen gets delivered into the interstitial fluid, then from the interstitial fluid to the cells of the tissue. Now when I say tissue are made up of cells. An organ is made up of tissues. So you should know this value. The partial pressure of the interstitial fluid in the tissue, muscle tissue, is 15 to 40 mm of mercury. So the oxygen get diffused in the interstitial fluid. Now the oxygen are transferred or delivered to the tissue cells. So why do cells need oxygen molecules? The cells use these oxygen molecule for the metabolism. For example, metabolism of glucose. The cell use this oxygen molecule, the metabolism of glucose, and the carbon dioxide is produced at the end of the glucose metabolism. Now oxygen molecules are consumed by the cells and carbon dioxide molecules are produced at the end of each metabolism. So there will be more carbon dioxide produced in the cells. So what happened here is, due to the higher gradient of carbon dioxide gases, it will shift to the lower gradient in the interstitial fluid, then into the blood. The oxygenated blood carried by the artery after delivering of the oxygen has only low oxygen molecule and high carbon dioxide. So these capillaries will join the venules, then these venules will join the veins, and these veins will join the major venous system. As we discussed earlier, the partial pressure of deoxygenated blood is 40 mm of mercury. In deoxygenated blood, the hemoglobin saturation is 75%. This is also we have discussed earlier. Now, the carbon dioxide, first it goes to the interstitial fluid, then to the blood. So as we saw earlier for oxygen, in the blood carbon dioxide also transferred in dissolved state. So 0.12 ml of carbon dioxide is transferred in dissolved state. This 0.12 value is from experiment done before, so you should know this value. So now 20.4 ml of oxygen, just assume 20 ml in order not to forget. 20 ml of oxygenated blood is transferred from the left heart into the muscle tissue, and here 5 ml is delivered to the tissues. So the remaining is 20 minus 5, 15 ml is taken back. So the amount of oxygen content in the deoxygenated blood is 15 ml. So hemoglobin buffers tissue PO2. What do you mean by this buffer? Buffer means simply protect. So the hemoglobin in the RBC, it will protect the partial pressure of the PO2. What do you mean by this? No matter what happens to the partial pressure in the lungs, the partial pressure in the lung is 104. If it drops to 65 in conditions like hypoxia, so you will have 65 mm of mercury in the oxygenated blood, but it will never change the partial pressure in the interstitial fluid. It will be maintained in 15 to 40. That's what this line mean. So now, what do you mean by utilization coefficient? Utilization coefficient means the percentage of blood that gives up its oxygen as it passes through the tissue capillaries is called utilization coefficient. So now we will see the positive cooperativity. What do you mean by positive cooperativity? This positive cooperativity, utilization coefficient, and hemoglobin buffers tissue PO2, you come across these words in Guyton and Hall book. So when you have 4 pockets of hemoglobin, just say all the 4 pockets are empty. If all the 4 pockets are empty, then the hemoglobin will be in high need for oxygen. So when the first pocket need oxygen, it will open. The third pocket, fourth pocket will be a little closer. So we say the first pocket will be in higher need, that is in higher affinity, higher need for oxygen. When the first pocket gets filled with oxygen molecule, the second pocket will open, and the second pocket, now it will be in higher need for oxygen, so it will be filled with another oxygen molecule. Such a way, third pocket and fourth pocket will get opened and it will be filled with the oxygen molecule. This cooperation of the pockets in the oxygen molecules is known as positive cooperativity. So from what we have discussed here, you can say that increasing the partial pressure of oxygen will increase the saturation of hemoglobin. That is, By increasing the partial pressure of oxygen, you will push more oxygen molecules into hemoglobin pockets. Such a way, the hemoglobin pockets will get filled with oxygen molecules, and the hemoglobin pockets will get filled, it will be 100% saturated. So if you increase partial pressure of oxygen, the hemoglobin percentage also increases. This is called linear relationship, but this is a wrong concept or wrong graph when it comes to hemoglobin. You should know the character of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin takes the oxygen from the rich area and it delivers the oxygen to the poor area. That is the character of hemoglobin. Whenever you increase the partial pressure of the oxygen, what happens is the pockets in the hemoglobin gets filled and the hemoglobin becomes 100% saturated. Saturation means satisfaction. Okay, so this is what happens when you increase the partial pressure of oxygen. When you increase the partial pressure of oxygen, the hemoglobin affinity for oxygen is increased, means the hemoglobin association with oxygen is increased and the hemoglobin is fully saturated. When you decrease the partial pressure of oxygen, the hemoglobin does know that it will not receive the oxygen molecule for its fourth pocket, but the character of hemoglobin is to deliver the oxygen, so it will deliver the oxygen from its remaining pockets. So here you see the affinity for oxygen is decreased and there is dissociation develops. So in normally 100 ml of blood delivers 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues. In a normal human body, the left ventricle pumps 5 liters of blood per minute. So if 100 ml delivers 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues, 1000 ml delivers 50 ml of oxygen. Then 5000 ml of blood delivers 250 ml of oxygen to the tissues. So the left ventricle pumps 5 liters blood per minute, so it will be 250 ml of oxygen is delivered to the tissues. You know that the full saturation of hemoglobin is 100%. So there will come a point where the hemoglobin should come to a 50% saturation, where 50% is desaturated and 50% is saturated. So when it comes to this 50%, what will be the partial pressure of oxygen? So the partial pressure of oxygen will decrease to 25 to attain this 50% saturation. When I say 50% saturation, the hemoglobin is 50% saturated and 50% desaturated. So at partial pressure of 25, the P50 happens. So what happens during an exercise? I mean, in a normal human being at resting position, the left ventricle pumps 5 liters of blood per minute, so 250 ml of oxygen is delivered to the tissues. During exercise, the cardiac output increases 6 to 7 times the normal. During exercise, what really happens is the tissue will need higher amounts of oxygen molecules. So in order to receive higher amounts of oxygen molecule, the partial pressure of oxygen is decreased. If you decrease the partial pressure of oxygen molecule, what happens is in hemoglobin, the hemoglobin will release its 3 oxygen molecules.
into the tissue in such a way the tissue will get additional oxygen molecules. This is what happens during exercise. If you want to increase the delivery of oxygen molecules into the tissues, you should decrease the partial pressure of oxygen. So here you have the partial pressure of oxygen and the percentage saturation of hemoglobin and the amount of oxygen content in the blood. When the partial pressure of oxygen is 100 ml and the saturation is 100% hemoglobin in the lungs, the content of the blood is 20 ml. The content of oxygen in the blood is 20 ml. So as everyone know, the normal partial pressure in human body is 100 in the lungs and 40 in the tissues. So in tissue the partial pressure of oxygen is 40 millimeter of mercury and the hemoglobin saturation is 75%. And in the oxygenated blood the amount of oxygen content is 20 ml. When it comes to the tissue capillaries, 5 ml is delivered to the tissues. So how much content remain in the tissue capillary is 15 ml. So you can see here in the graph the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissue is 40 mmHg and the hemoglobin saturation is 75% and the amount of oxygen content in the blood is 15 ml. 20 ml was in the oxygenated blood. 5 ml was delivered. 5 ml of oxygen was delivered. Now the remaining 15 ml is there. So you can say 15% of blood is delivered to the tissues. So when you decrease the partial pressure of oxygen to 25, the hemoglobin saturation is 50% and the amount of oxygen content in the blood is 10 ml. During exercise, the partial pressure of the oxygen in the tissue is decreased so that more oxygen molecules will be delivered to the tissue. As we discussed earlier, the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissue ranges between 15 to 40 millimeter of mercury. So here you will have a decreased partial pressure of oxygen, 15 millimeter of mercury. So what will be the hemoglobin percentage saturation? It is 10. So what do you mean by this? 100 minus 10 is 90. 90% of blood is delivered to the tissue. So this one correspond to here, let's say 2 ml. So 20 minus 2, 18 ml of oxygen content is delivered to the tissues and remaining 2 ml is in the blood. So in an exercise tissue, let's consider this as an exercise tissue. In an exercise muscle, the temperature is increased. So if this tissue temperature is increased, oxygen molecules cannot stay inside the tissue. What will happen is the oxygen molecule will go outside because the temperature is very high, and also during exercise more carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions are added in the tissue. So these carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion replace the oxygen molecules and pushes the oxygen molecules outside. In this way, during exercise, oxygen molecules are delivered to the tissues. This is another way during exercise. If the exercise lasts more than 1 hour, the RBCs produce 2,3-DPG. So now what is the function of 2,3-DPG? You know, in adult hemoglobin you have 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain. So this 2,3-DPG in the RBC, it will hold tightly this beta chain. So you know, alpha chain, 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain, and each chain are separate pockets. So when the 2,3-DPG holds the beta chain, that means in a normal hemoglobin molecule, each hemoglobin pocket has oxygen molecules in it. So when 2,3-DPG come inside, what happens is 2 pockets are held tightly by the 2,3-DPG. So the oxygen molecules in these 2 pockets get delivered to the tissues. Because the size decreases, the oxygen molecule cannot stay inside the pockets, so it jumps out and it goes outside. This is the function of 2,3-DPG. That means 20 ml of oxygen content was there in the oxygenated blood, 5 ml was delivered, and 15 ml was there, and another 5 ml was delivered. So now only the remaining 10 ml is in the blood. During exercise, the linear curve shifts to the right side. So in a normal tissue, the partial pressure of oxygen is 40 and the hemoglobin saturation is 75 and the blood delivered is 5 ml. 5 ml of oxygen is delivered to the tissues. So in exercise, what happens is, at the partial pressure of 40, the hemoglobin saturation is 50 instead of the normal 75, and the blood delivered is how much? 10 ml, and the remaining 10 ml is in the blood. I will explain this 75% and 50%. In a normal hemoglobin, 75% saturation means there are 3 pockets. 100% saturation is if all the pockets are filled, then it is 100% saturation. 75% is 3 pockets are filled. 50% saturation is first 2 pockets are filled. So during exercise, what really happens is the tissue need more oxygen. So in normally at the partial pressure of 40, the hemoglobin saturation was 75%. During exercise, the hemoglobin saturation becomes 50% at the normal partial pressure of 40, because the oxygen molecule is delivered to the tissues, because the tissue needs additional oxygen molecules during exercise. So at the partial pressure of 40, the hemoglobin saturation is 50. So 50% the hemoglobin is saturated and 50% the hemoglobin is desaturated at the partial pressure of 40 during exercise. Normally the hemoglobin is saturated at 50 when the partial pressure is 25. So during exercise, as we discussed earlier, there will be increased carbon dioxide, then hydrogen ions, increased temperature and increase 2,3-DPG. Whenever this hydrogen ion or proton increases, there will be acidity, there will be formation of acid inside the cell. So during exercise, as you all know, the saturation becomes 75 to 50. That means oxygen molecules are delivered to the tissues. That means the affinity of oxygen is decreased. So let us discuss about the pH. Always know that pH is inversely proportional to the hydrogen ion. Whenever the pH increases, the hydrogen ion decreases. This hydrogen ion, what do this hydrogen ion? This hydrogen ion increase the acid. So let us see the pH. So the normal pH value is 7. So if you want to achieve an acid state, the pH should drop from 7 to 0 to achieve the acid state. If you want to achieve an alkali state, the pH should increase from 7 to 14 to achieve the alkali state. So here the hydrogen ion increases. The increase in hydrogen ion causes acidity. That means the pH should drop to 0. So if there is a decrease in the hydrogen ion, that means there is less acid and more alkali. That means the pH should increase to 14 to achieve the alkali state. So let us go back to our discussion. The normal pH is 7.4. During exercise, the curve shifts to the right and the pH is 7.4 to 7.2 because there is increase in the acidity. So during exercise, there are many disturbances such as increase in carbon dioxide, increase in hydrogen ion, increase in temperature and increase in 2,3-DPG. So what happens if there are no disturbances? If there are no disturbances, then the hemoglobin saturation is 100% maintained, and you need a partial pressure to maintain this 100% saturation, but you don't need a increased partial pressure. So what happens is this 100% is maintained at very low partial pressure. So here you can see when there are no disturbances at the partial pressure of 5, the hemoglobin is saturated 50%. In this curve you can say the hemoglobin is a better dissociator. That means the hemoglobin provides the oxygen to the tissues. Whoever gives to another person, they are called donors. So here the hemoglobin is a donor. Here the hemoglobin is a poor donor and is an associator. That means 100% is saturated. So the oxygen is associated with hemoglobin always. So here the hemoglobin is an associated and a poor donor. So let us see here the pH is increased, means from normal 7.4 to 7.6 as the hydrogen ion decrease. So in clinical cases, in polycythemia, what do you mean by polycythemia? In polycythemia, the volume of hemoglobin is high. From normal 15, it will increase to 18. In anemia, the hemoglobin is very low. So in both the cases, the P50 remains constant. What do you mean by P50? As we discussed earlier, the P50 is at which the percentage saturation of hemoglobin is 50. That is 50% of hemoglobin is saturated and 50% is desaturated. What happens during carbon monoxide poisoning? Carbon monoxide poisoning has an affinity for hemoglobin 250 times greater than the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So carbon monoxide is very sticky to hemoglobin. In 4 pockets of hemoglobin, the carbon monoxide occupies the 2 pockets since it is very sticky to hemoglobin, and it will cause the size of the other 2 pockets to be very narrow. In such a way, the oxygen inside the 2 pockets cannot escape. So it will get arrested inside and it cannot escape. So the total capacity for oxygen is decreased. The total capacity of hemoglobin for oxygen is decreased. The total content of oxygen in blood is also decreased. And even though if you increase the partial pressure, there is no use, because there are 2 oxygen molecules that cannot come outside, and carbon monoxide occupied the other 2 pockets. Increasing the partial pressure is of no use, and even though if you decrease the partial pressure, there is also no use. What is the only treatment is you should increase the oxygen and you should also increase the carbon dioxide, because increasing the carbon dioxide will stimulate the respiratory center and it will hyperventilate. What do you mean by hyperventilation? During hyperventilation, the carbon monoxide are kicked out from the hemoglobin because there will be more CO2 consumption. So when the carbon monoxide are get kicked out, the size of the pockets become normal. When you increase the oxygen molecule will come and settle in the pockets of the hemoglobin. So in carbon monoxide poisoning, the curve is left side shifted, because in carbon monoxide poisoning per hemoglobin there is only 2 pockets, because the other 2 pockets are already occupied by carbon monoxide, and the other 2 pockets also has oxygen molecule in it. So that means according to the principle there is increased affinity. So the curve shift to the left side and become flat. This is how you find carbon monoxide poisoning using this curve. Even 0.6 millimeter of mercury is very lethal to human body. So that's it for the transport of oxygen.